Hey class, welcome to the learning portal. I just quickly wanted to run this disclaimer before you start your journey with your private label course. And I wanted to say that I'm not an attorney, solicitor, accountant, or any sort of legal advisor. Anything that I share is completely based on my experience I have gained by selling on Amazon, especially in the last few years since I started selling my own private label products, since this is a private label course. And this is not to be taken any kind of legal advice, but it's just to be taken as my opinion. If you have any doubts about anything that I'm teaching, especially when it comes to something like registering your LLC or your private limited company, or anything how you should be dealing with your sales tax, VAT, or how you should register for your accounts, how you should file your tax and things like that, it's always advisable to hire someone who's authorized legally to advise you on such matters. So let's just quickly jump through, and I'll just go through with some of the best practices related to business that's useful for your Amazon FBA journey. Now, if you're a student who's based in US, you would need to form a LLC if you want to sell with a pro seller account, which is obviously because you're going to make more than 40 sales a month, and that's what you want to start off with straight away, rather than going back and again and changing those account settings, because especially in UK, as you must be aware, that a lot of verifications are going through for each seller, and it's taking a lot of time in some cases, especially when you're switching from a pro individual account to a pro account, or if you haven't really registered your pro account, or like a pro seller account. So it's much advisable you start in the right way, so that once your products are here, you don't have to waste any time, and you can just start making money straight away as soon as your products are into the country. Again, registering LLC, as I mentioned, you can hire anyone. It could be anyone like a local attorney in your area or in your state. You could try and find some LLC formation companies. If you type on Google, you'll come across a lot of them. Try and get some kind of legal advisor. LegalZoom is something which I've heard is a website which has a panel of a lot of legal attorneys which they can guide you. But again, as you can understand, they are not direct legal advisors. They just have kind of you're just like a yellow page or a directory for all these legal advisors. So obviously whatever you pay through them is going to be in some extra cost, whatever they make as in commission. So it's much advisable you find your own local attorney in your state or in your local area. If you're a student who's based in UK, you would want to register a private limited company, and the reason for that is if you are selling anything as an individual, it brings your own individual resources and finance, and you're liable if something goes wrong. When you are into a private limited company, the liability of the company is completely separate than you, because as a private limited company, you are a completely different entity compared to yourself as an individual. Again, for anything registering like a business or an accountant, you could reach out to any solicitor, any accountant in your area. The easiest way in UK that I've found, especially for registering a company, is just going on Google and finding company formation websites, which I'm going to leave in the resource session as well. I've used those to register a couple of my companies in past as well. I've helped my friends to register to them as well. It's quite simple, so that in few days you get your registration certificates and things like that. Apart from these, an obvious thing that you're going to need is an Amazon Business Pro Seller account. And I've always said to you that you need a pro account if you want to sell as a business. So, as I was mentioning earlier, if you are a US-based student, you need to register a LLC in your state. You could take help from any of those legal advisors that I've mentioned before as well. They will also help you to register for EIN number, which is your employment identification number, similar to something like what you have your individual social security number. This is a registration or identification number for taxation purposes for your LLC. You need to also apply for a business checking account. Make sure that you keep all your expenses, incoming and outgoing money, anything related to your business through this checking account. So when you're doing accounts at the end of the year, or whenever you file your sales tax and things like that, it will be much easier for you. Once again, when I was talking about sales tax, please speak to your accountant or legal advisor about your sales tax. The reason why I say that is because it's quite complex. I've heard so many people or sellers in US itself who are very confused about this, and all I have heard about is that TaxJar is one of the best resources, especially for Amazon and eBay and like online sellers like us, because it allows you to connect through your Amazon account, and it gives you the actual data where and when, in which state, how much, in which state, how how much tax is due and when you should pay, how you should pay, and things like that. But anything related to that, again, speak to your legal advisor or accountant who can advise you much better than what I would advise you. If you are a UK based student, use company formation websites, nice and easy. I've used that a couple of times. My mates have used them as well, which you'll find in the resource session. You also need a business account. The ones that I recommend in the resource session, they basically have some kind of connection with the Barclays Bank, which I use as well, one of the best banks to have a business account in UK. So they will open a free account for you as well. You don't need to register for VAT unless you cross your 82,000 pounds in the UK. So it's only once you reach that level, or when you're nearing that level, you will need to register for VAT. If you want to store goods into any other European FBA centers like German FBA centers, then they have requirements now that you need to register for VAT in Germany straight away. So we want to avoid all those things at the moment. Let's just concentrate and register your UK business and start making sales here, because your German buyers and everyone, any other European buyers can still buy from your UK platform as well, as long as you activate your listings in those markets later date. At the moment, we are not concerned about that. Once again, hire an accountant or anyone who can help you out with these kind of things. Again, when you start, you're going to be small business. So I personally do everything on Excel, and then I hand it over to my accountant to save costs, even as of today. So this is how you need to probably start as well. But as I said, I cannot legally advise you anything like that, but this is like, all you need to know is basically what's going out and coming in. So whatever you manage, just have a simple Excel sheet to start off with, and note down everything that you're spending on your business, and any money coming in, make sure it comes in your business account and not your personal account, so that you don't mix up your business and personal finances. Once again, these are just like small best practices which I needed to convey to you, so make sure you remember some of these, because these are very important, especially when it comes to Amazon best practices. Keep all your accounting, as I said, information stored so that you have the access to that at the year end when your tax is due. Make notes of the business purchases, any fees that you pay for legal or accounting expense, or whether you buy any kind of machinery or anything it could be, whatever you're spending towards your business. Make sure you keep a note of all that. Once again, this is one of the most important practice that I needed to convey to you, that Amazon only allows one seller account. There are some instances where a couple of businesses have multiple accounts, but those can only be done once you have taken a permission and you've proved to them that those accounts are going to sell completely different products. It's quite complicated. If something goes wrong, it's hard to get rectify the situation as well. So please try and avoid that, especially you're just starting to sell. You don't want to get into those kind of things where you don't have enough sales history, and then they're not even ready to listen to you why and how this happened. Once again, try not to access, this is just my own tip, because I've heard few people got booted off Amazon or eBay in past when they actually tried, when they had an instance where they had used their seller account from someone else's computer, and that person maybe at a later date got kind of banned from Amazon. This is not a concrete information that I have, but it's something I wanted to convey you, because we should try and avoid any kind of problems that could occur on your Amazon account, rather than it's always better to be safe than sorry. That's what I wanted to actually say. Once again, take this business, especially the Amazon account, with great care, as I mentioned, because Amazon is not known to give you a second chance very easily. Once you're booted off, anytime you once you're banned and you try and convey to them, most of the times, depending on why you are banned from Amazon, most of your email just are responded by an automated email, so you don't really get much chance. Unless it was a genuine problem, I can understand, we can always try. I have got resources, I mean, not personally, but on the Amazon forum, it's been well known that you could go try and reach to the higher management department as well. But we don't want to get there. As long as you're maintaining your account, you're following your Amazon rules and policies, I'm sure there's no reason for you to get banned from Amazon. But this is just something which I wanted to share, that make sure and look after your Amazon account just like your baby. Treat it well, go by the rules. Don't see and think how others are kind of tweaking the rules or finding the loopholes to do something or the other. I personally love my Amazon business. I love my brand, the way I'm building it on Amazon, and I wouldn't want to do anything to jeopardize that. So and I'm sure you are the same. So Once again, these are just some of the disclaimers and business best practices that I want to convey to you before you start your actual course. So that's it for today. I'm going to wrap it here and see you in the class.